Yo, 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 what's good? What's good? Just the babe. Yeah, I know, man. Back again with another episode of Controversial Conversation. Yeah, I know, man. Back off in your airways and all that good stuff. Last episode, we talked about the third quarter. So that means we are finally finishing this up, man. This right here is going to be your fourth quarter of community development. You take all of these together, man. These are essentially the 20 ways that we can move forward as the left with actionable solutions and with legitimate, like, problem solving, pragmatic ways to get shit done, right? Like, let's get it done. That is what this is about. So this right here is your fourth quarter. And as always, I don't think I did it on the last one, but I just want to remind y'all that we do have the CRN Community Mobilization course, the Community Mobilization Toolkit, and the American Civics course. So, like I said, if you're trying to get educated on civics, if you're trying to understand more about the way your government operates, if you're trying to get deeper into your community so that you can mobilize your people, or if you just need a toolkit full of all of the resources to make yourself the most effective organizer in your community, holla at us. We got you. Anyways, moving forward. So let's get off into the fourth quarter of community development. So this is about closing the gap. And shouts out to Closing the Gap. Used to mess around and do some work for them at the Curtis Center, man. Shouts out. But anyways, this is transforming communities and delivering change. So the first thing that we have to do in the fourth quarter, I guess it's not really the first thing because this is technically number 60. I do it. I don't know why. I get to thinking about it. I'll be running on a whole damn rant down whatever road. Anyways, here we go. Sorry. Deprioritizing, polarizing issues on the campaign trail. So I want to preface this by saying this does not mean that we don't care about all of the issues. That is not what this is about, right? This is about strategic silence. So certain issues, while critical, can alienate moderate or undecided voters. And those campaigns that we're creating now should focus on topics that resonate universally, right? That doesn't mean that we can't go into these communities and into these spaces and show them what we are actually going to do for them. Because, like I said, we got to do better rural outreach and showing them what the policies can do and changing their lives for the better. So, if we are going into certain communities and we're talking about certain controversial policies, then we need to let them know that this is what we'll do for them. But we don't have to make the national campaigns about these things, right? So execution could look like prioritizing messaging on healthcare and wages and infrastructure, safer schools, things like that. Policies with a broad appeal and an immediate impact, and you can tie them back to the policies that we're showing, right? Like we're pushing for these policies in these areas, and we have actionable solutions that will make your life more convenient, your life better, this, that, and the other. But we have to talk about the broad appeal of the things. So healthcare with universal healthcare, wages with a livable wage, or $15 minimum wage, which needs to be raised. That's why I keep saying a livable wage, or infrastructure, like getting more money to the roads, getting more money to create buildings and community centers so that people have a place to get their interview technique skills down, or they can learn about how to hold a job so that they can have stability. These are kind of things that you can do to take people from homeless to being in a place. Because when it comes to addressing homelessness, a lot of people tend to forget it's not just giving them a home. It's about addressing the mental health issues that they might be dealing with. It's about addressing potentially the substance abuse issues that they might be dealing with. It's about addressing the lack of experience that they have. So getting them trained so that they can potentially hold down a job, and then assisting them in a place until that they can get a place on their own. So creating these initiatives and these funds that allow that to happen is how you can start cleaning up the homeless situation in your community. Anyways, sorry, I just get to thinking about stuff like that. But anyways, we can also train candidates to acknowledge polarizing issues like gun control and abortion while pivoting to core community building platforms, right? So we can talk about these things. And I know gun control and abortion are very, very hard to have a nuanced conversation with the left and the right. but I don't think we're as far apart. I just think that the sensationalized portion of these conversations gets blown out of proportion. And I think that is the problem, especially when it comes to gun control, because I know a majority of the country wants common sense gun laws. And when it comes to abortion, I think we are trying to understand how do we put a universal, policy together, but we can't really do that now because they have, right, with Roe v. Wade. So these kind of things make it harder for us to push for a universal solution or something that is going to be amicable for all of us. But it doesn't mean that these are not important issues that need to be talked about. So we can have solutions for these, but they don't need to be at the forefront. So we got to develop plans to address these topics substantively after winning office so that we ensure that they're tackled thoughtfully and effectively. It's not the old smoke and mirrors type thing where we tell you we're going to do something and then not do it. It's the whole thing where we're not telling you everything we're going to do so that we can get it done, right? See that? That's the flip. So a call to action is, what is the universal issue that you think resonates the most with your community? And I want you to comment that below. And I want us to refocus the conversation to where it really matters most. This is something that I really didn't think needed to be said, but for some reason it does. So here we are. We got to stop celebritizing our politicians, right? We have to reclaim relatability. So our movement starts to lose authenticity when it's elevating political figures to a celebrity status. Like, people connect with leaders that they see as one of their own. So while I am in awe at the fact that President Obama was able to win twice in the time that he won it, right? Because, like, let's be honest, 2008 to 2012, 2012, 2016 feel like forever ago when we think about it from that perspective. So for him to be able to get there is dope. But for us to keep putting him out here every time that it's time for elections, like he's the one who is going to move the needle for us, or bringing Stacey Abrams every time and then, talking about this, that, and the other that she's done back. Nah, those aren't working. The people that we need to reach, or the people that we need to bring up, are the ones that are in the community and turn them into storytellers, right? The people, you already know who they are. They're the ones that, like, hey man, so and so done did so, man, he done did all this good stuff, but ain't nobody thinking about him, right? He is the person that you need to be pushing because folks know that he gets stuff done. You need to be in the barbershops, getting those people, the folks that have those conversations just casually. Those are the ones that you need to be getting out and on a microphone, right? Because they're the ones that are going to be able to help. But don't just throw them out there. We got to train them on messaging, right? But we need to highlight relatable local leaders with a proven track record of community service. This is about public service. When you are a politician, you are a public servant. It is not being a career politician. It is not getting rich. It is not becoming good friends with lobbyists so that you can set up your exit plan for when you're ready to go. It is not about that. It is about doing the work for the people. So we have to emphasize policy over personality, right? So we have to show voting records and achievements, and that should take center stage. I need people to know this person voted for this, and it will directly affect them, their family, and everybody around them. And that is the bigger problem that needs to be highlighted. That is the issue that needs to be highlighted. It does not matter how cool of a person he is. What does he do and how does he get it done? Because sometimes those are the people that might not come across as the most personable or our favorite people, but they're the ones that can get the stuff done that we need to get done. So we need to use high profile figures strategically for voter turnout, but we don't need to make them the face of the movement. So every GOTV, we go run and we grab all of our favorite politicians from whatever governorship they might have, whatever senator they might be, whatever former president they might be, and then we throw them in front of the voters as if that is going to connect with them, and it doesn't. We have got to stop doing that, and we have got to use more effective means to message to the people by using more effective messengers. So my call to action for you is, who is a local leader that you admire? And I want you to tag them below. And I want to celebrate the people making real change on the ground because they're the ones that deserve it. All right. So let's reimagine voter outreach. That's the next thing. Because we talked about rural outreach and education, but I want us to reimagine how we do things. So let's modernize GOTV, right? Get out the vote. How do we modernize that? Because traditional outreach methods, well, they're outdated and they're often ineffective. And it is time to meet voters where they are with creative, engaging strategies. This is where we're going to need to lean on the creatives in the left to start coming up with better ways to reach out to the other people that feel that they're not being heard, the ones that feel lost. The voter outreach that we have to get to is a lot of people. And there's a lot of people that feel like both parties have just completely abandoned them. So we need to get a lot better at creating ways to reach them, right? So we got to focus on hyper local face to face efforts similar to the door knocking and the town halls and the community events, but we need to hold them a lot more frequently, and we need to change up formats. Not the same old, right? But if we're going to have a town hall, let's have a town hall where we're not pushing politicians. We're bringing people like the local doctor that everybody loves, that's been there forever, right? That we know is going to be able to bring people out, or maybe a lawyer that's in the community that's done a lot of good work and been on a lot of good case. Those are the kind of people you have, those people that are just literally sitting on your Facebook right now. Those are the kind of folks that we need to utilize when we come to these town halls and these community events, because they're going to be able to explain and they're going to be able to make it relatable, because they do have kids that go to the same school as you. They do shop at the same grocery stores as you. They do have the same life that you're living to a degree, right? So those are the kind of folks that are going to be able to connect and be able to be relatable. And we have to use tech creatively, and we got to personalize these video messages, these interactive apps, and these innovative social media campaigns. We have to make it feel like you are one of us, because you are. You might feel lost, you might feel left out, you might feel forgotten and abandoned, but you're not. You are just as important as every other person in this movement, and we need to make them feel that way. We need to bring them into the fold, not the ones that are lost. We talked about that. We need to bring the ones that feel like they don't have a place, right? And give them a space and a place and the ability to express their voice so that they do feel heard, and so that they feel like they're a part of something. When they feel inclusive, that is when they are going to get active. And we have to partner with the trusted local organizations so that we can build year round relationships with voters. We only be hitting them up when it's voting time and they know it. We need more organizations doing the groundwork during the year so that people know, oh, you care about me when you don't need my vote. Exactly, because you're still my neighbor. You still matter. So that's the kind of ways that we need to reach them. So we have to reimagine the way that we do our voter outreach. So the call to action, I asked, what is the most effective way someone has ever reached you during an election? And I want you to share your experience, and I want us to rethink voter engagement. All right, we're finally getting close to the end. We're getting close to the end. These last two are really about pushing for change in a way that is substantial, right, and that is long lasting. So number 19 is about governing boldly, right? Just pushing the agenda. So the left has to deliver on its promises boldly and decisively. When we govern with hesitation, it only weakens trust and momentum. We build all of this momentum going into the election. We get certain people into office, and it's like, yeah, and then they don't deliver. And I'm not saying that it's on one person to get a bill passed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that as time passes, all of the things that they said they were pushing for, they're no longer pushing for. They're starting to cozy up to people that are getting them to get a little bit off of their radicalness, or off of their people centered agenda, to get a little bit more corporate, to get a little bit more donor sponsored and stuff like that. So we have to pass progressive policy swiftly the minute that we get off in there, right? Healthcare, climate change, economic justice, that should lead the charge, because these are the most important things to us. Healthcare, are we going to be around Climate change. Is the world going to be around? Economic justice. Are we going to have some money to make sure we can be around, right? Like these are the things that we need to be highlighting and highlighting them in a way that makes people understand how important they are. So that means using data and storytelling to communicate policy benefits and how they benefit directly to the public, right? Like, how do these policies benefit the public directly? How is universal health care going to help me in my time of need? How is going to school at the college level for free on a state institution or whatnot going to help, right? Even though it sounds easy to understand, how are these things going to help me? Because people have them in a misconception, and it's always framed with it's going to take something away or it's going to hurt us, right? But when it comes to climate change and sustainability, shoot, black folks, we already know what it is. We've been sustainable for ever, right? I don't know how many garbage bags or how many Walmart bags we got underneath the, you know what I'm saying, the sink and stuff like that, or how many times we're gonna say you ain't gonna keep running in and out of this house and stuff like that. All of that is levels of sustainability, and I know it sounds funny and it's humorous, but that's what we need to do. We need to relate that, right? And we also need to launch a policy tracker platform that shows voters how progressive initiatives can improve their lives. Also, expose how GOP efforts try to block and dismantle them. So, when it came to student loan debt and getting rid of it, that was something that the Biden administration promised they would do. And they attempted to consistently do it, right? But what we heard was they haven't done anything, they didn't do nothing. But that's not the story, right? The story would be about the GOP efforts to block it by using Mohila and the 6 or 7 different Republican led states that tried to stop it by saying that it was going to cause something with the Treasury. It was going to be issues when it came to money within a certain state because they tied their public student loan forgiveness and everything like that together with this provider or whatnot, which ended up tying into the Treasury. So they were saying that, and there was a whole bunch of other issues, right? That the GOP said, we don't want you to have this. And they do it with everything. They kept saying that they were going to have some better health care than the Affordable Care Act. And they kept saying they're going to get rid of it, but they never had anything behind it, right? So all they're trying to do is take away from what is already here or block what could be. And we have to have a policy tracker that shows voters how the things that we're doing can improve their life, and then also show that when things are getting held up, why they're being held up. So, call to action: what bold policy do you think needs to be implemented immediately? And let's discuss, how do we hold leaders accountable so that they can deliver? All right, we have finally made it to the last one. And I know we've already gone through the 20, but this breaks it down and gives you a chance to really, really understand the nuance and the ideas and the thoughts behind each one of these actionable solutions, all 20 of them. And this one right here is probably one of the, if not most important, and it is getting big money out of politics. And that means restoring democracy, because money is the biggest threat to a fair election. And like I said, overturning Citizens United and fighting corporate influence has got to be non negotiable. So that means building coalitions of grassroots organizations to advocate for public campaign financing and lobbying reform. Said it before, and now let me break that down. That means that if you are in an organization that is studying campaign financing or you're advocating for that, we need to know who you are so that we can put a whole coalition of all of you together with the lobbying reformist so that we can have a cohesive movement where people are constantly advocating, where we have all kinds of storytelling, where we have new narratives, where we have engaging content, where we're attacking social media platforms, where we're showing people exactly how money is literally contributing to what gets done in office. And it is not about them representing your best interests, and it is not about them representing constituents. It is about how much money that they can get from these lobbyists and from these donors to continue the status quo. So that's why we have to build these coalitions. We have to launch a national awareness campaign to educate the public on how money in politics affects everyday lives, right? So if you know that there's something that is coming up, there's a bill, and you realize that if this bill gets voted on, it could really, really help you. And you see that there's a politician that you know that is going to vote for that bill and then they don't. We need to be able to tell people why they didn't do that by looking at who was donating to them, because a lot of the times open secrets will tell you exactly where the money's coming from and exactly why they vote the way they do, similar to things like APAC, and we're just going to call it what it is, right? That is somewhere that puts a lot of money behind a lot of our progressive candidates so that they can still push the things that they want to push. That's a problem. And we need to draft state and federal legislation to curb the influence of big donors and corporate PACs. So, big donors, corporate PACs, the dark money, all of that money, all of those things make it so much harder for us to have official, authentic elections. Because if we can buy 15 different spaces for TV time to just dwarf the two that the good candidate was, then we can effectively silence them to the point that nobody knows them. And if we can put 500 signs out to their 50, then we can make it seem that they're non existent. That is what money does. It takes away good candidates and doesn't give them a chance because they don't have access to all of that money. And because they're not fighting in the interests of the corporations or the donors, that money isn't going to come to them. So they have to do their grassroots organizing, they have to do their grassroots fundraising and stuff like that. So we have to draft state and federal legislation to curb the influence of big donors and corporate PACs so they can't keep buying votes. And the last thing that we do with this is we tie every campaign to this fight with the message: if you are a progressive candidate or if you are pushing for things on the left, you have got to tell every voter this, and you have got to make every voter truly understand this one sentiment: we are running for you, not for the corporations. People need to feel like they are heard and like they are being respected and like they are being thought of and taken care of. So, my question is, how do you think we can reduce the influence of money in politics? I want you to drop your ideas and let's build a movement that fights for the people. All right. And with that, we have finally reached and concluded the final quarter of the 4 quarters of community development, from shifting the focus of campaigns to dismantling the influence of big money. Now, these final steps are about delivering real and lasting change. We need to take every one of these and we need to implement them, and we need to start moving more strategically, right? Now that we've laid out all 20 points, the real work begins. How do we turn these ideas into actions? Well, stay tuned for more content breaking down each step in detail and providing actionable ways that you can get involved in transforming your community. So I need you guys to subscribe, to comment, and I need you to share so that we can stay connected and that we can keep the momentum going. Because together, we're not just imagining change, we are making it happen. Every time that you guys hear controversial conversation, I need you to know that this is authentically what I truly believe. And these are actionable solutions that I truly, truly have faith in and believe that if we were to implement them, we could literally live in the America that we all dream of. And that is not fantasy, and that is not me blowing smoke up anything. That is me truly coming to the understanding that we are not too far gone. We just don't have the right people in place, and we don't have the right messages being said, and we don't have the people being heard. But that doesn't mean that that can't change. But we have to continue to have controversial conversations, and we have to continue doing the work. I am ready to do the work, and I hope you are too. So, as always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.